If I were to title 2025's astrology, it would be Finding Yourself in a New World. I'm talking like if you've seen the show Inventing Anna, the show on Netflix. If you haven't seen the show on Netflix, go watch it, because this year ahead we have astrologically. You could learn a lot of lessons from that show, what to do and what not to do. Because there's a lot of things that Anna in Inventing Anna did, and I can tell you a little bit about it in a second without giving, hopefully, it all away. Some things harmed her and some things really helped her. But what's so amazing about that show is it's this girl who grows up poor, who tricks all of these billionaires and millionaires and business people into thinking that she is this wealthy, rich woman that knows how to do business, and she ends up attracting wealth, like real wealth, and getting to experience real wealth. Like she's getting billionaires to believe her, getting millionaires to believe her. These people like feel her energy and they're like, yes. The problem is that she didn't stay super grounded and connected to herself. She lied about a lot of this stuff. It wasn't just her embodying the energy. She kind of skipped a lot of steps. She didn't put her Saturn work in, which we're going to be talking about for this 2025 horoscope, because the challenge you could have this year is you wanting to get ahead of yourself and not having put the Saturn work in to actually back up what you're saying. You know how Kid Rock says, it ain't cocky if you can back it up. That's a good phrase for this coming year. So we're gonna get into all of the astrology. There's a lot. Before we get into it though, hi, I am Rachel. I am your astrologer for today. If you're new here, I love to talk about astrology and personal development in a way that actually moves you forward and helps you grow. I don't believe astrology puts you in a box. I don't believe in predictive astrology. So a lot of the things that I'm going to tell you are the energetic currents that are moving through the sky, so you know how to work with them. That's what astrology is they're just energetic currents that flow in the sky, and you get to be like Nemo and Finding Nemo, and you can either hop in the current and flow with it and get to your destination faster, or you can resist every step of the way and make the next year so much harder for yourself. So keep watching if you want to make 2025 a year of massive breakthrough, massive change, where you glow up into that version of yourself you always saw, but you also put the work in to maintain it so that it sustains long term. Because the work you put in this year is setting the foundation for a new world, a new earth. The old you isn't going to fit into this new earth. So we're finding out the new you, a new chapter. And I always think about times in history when this has happened, right? When we enter into a new way of doing life, like we had the Industrial Revolution, there needs to be some sort of grounding and connection to what is. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It's a slow progression. Like planes, for example. We used to think it was impossible to fly a plane until we flew the first plane. And then they only became better and better and better. And then we had more planes, and now we have jets and all those different things. But it was grounded. It was a gradual, long game. That's how I want you to think about you and you building your identity the next year. This is just the first plane you're making. There's many more planes to come, and you're gonna have to work out a lot of bugs. Now, before I even get into the astrology reading, I wanna share a card that I pulled to summarize the year from the Wild Unknown Archetype Guidebook by Kim Kranz. So I pulled the Stone. And you know how I said it's so important to stay grounded this next year as you go after your big dreams? That's exactly what the Stone tells us. So the Stone holds psychic and literal weight. It says a single stone may see thousands of generations come and go. Therefore, it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used to anchor our wild side. So no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. The stone tethers us to earth, helping to ground and connect us to stillness, quiet, and peace. so important over this next year. Get quiet, listen to yourself, connect to yourself, grow what's already inside you and make it bigger. You know, you have talent, you have skills, you have things that you've cultivated that can come with you. Tune into the wisdom you've gained, the lessons you've learned, the earthly experience that you've had, and you use it to help you anchor into this new identity. Your current reality can expand and grow. But the thing is that we think that our reality is only this big because this is our subconscious. Think of your subconscious. Your subconscious is wired to a certain reality, and so you just naturally act every single day within that reality. The most successful people on Earth, on the planet, what they do is they expand what they believe is possible within their reality. They use their belief and their imagination and their focus on expansion, expanding what's in out, growing what's in out in order to expand their reality. That actually happened to me when I started doing self-concept work. I manifested this office I was in because for a long time I was building a business and I didn't have an office and I didn't feel like a badass businesswoman. And I actually focused on the fact that I didn't have an office. And so I continued to perpetuate the sad belief that I don't have an office. And then I never got one. Until I decided to tell myself, no, I'm a badass business owner. I make $5,000 a day just being myself. I didn't focus on having an office, but my identity became someone, a business owner, a person who was bigger than I currently was. And because of that, I ended up manifesting this office in 2 months of telling myself that self-concept. I didn't take a step-by-step process. I just expanded what I believed was possible for me based on the foundation of what I already had. I wanted to be a business owner. I was working towards my business. And I thought, well, what if I saw myself as the bigger version of me? And then my reality expanded. So that's what I mean by staying grounded and rooted to you, connected to you, while you expand your reality. And this card talks about that. So it says the stone is best used to anchor our wild side. So no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. When you're connected to yourself, no matter how far you imagine and experiment in your life, as long as you're doing it from your heart and your connection to self, you will always find your way back. Even if you find out that thing is not for you anymore, you will come back to you and you will find the next move you have to do. You know, I've been talking a lot about devotion on my channel, and devotion is the highest expression of how you can stay committed to something, how you can stay committed to a person, a project. It's not that you're meant to break up, for example, in your long-term relationship. Devotion tells you that there's a pivot that needs to happen. Do you need to love yourself more? Is there a way you could love your partner more? You know, maybe the most loving thing you can do is a breakup, but it's devotion is being devoted to life, being a devotee of life itself and finding the love. And when the love gets taken back away from you, when you feel like you've lost yourself, because who you are is love. So anytime you're not feeling the love, you've just lost yourself. So reconnecting back to what you love, what you find pleasurable, what's truly in your heart, what you want, connecting to yourself will bring you back. It says the stone tethers us to earth, helping us ground and connect us to stillness, to quiet, and to peace. When this card appears, it's likely the stone is a remedy for what ails us. Humble and easily unnoticed, the power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. And let me tell you, there will be a frenzy this next year. Because we have Uranus changing signs, we have Neptune changing signs, Pluto has just changed signs, the North Node is moving into Pisces. All of these planets are generational planets. They are planets that impact us on a wide, worldwide scale. And when planets change signs that impact the world as a whole, the world goes through a big shift. And anytime we go through a shift, there is chaos. Chaos is how we move to a higher level of consciousness. It's never a linear path. We're up-leveling consciously as a collective. And the way to navigate chaos is connection to yourself and what you love. And so we're learning, what do I love this year? What do I love more than anything? How can love guide my path? Where is love not guiding my path? And there is an opportunity for a lot of breakthroughs. So let's kick it off in January. The North Node will move into Pisces in the beginning of the year. It's a big deal when the nodes change signs. So we just had the nodes in Aries and Libra. And so these last 2 years, we've been coming back into balance with us. That is the first step. And now that the North Node is in Pisces and the South Node is in Virgo, where we're out of balance is Virgo themes. We're being too critical of ourselves. We're being too practical, too logical, too in the how, too judgmental. We've been too reliant on what we know in facts. And here's the problem. When you think you know something, you can't truly know anything. Because the earth, the world, even astrology is limitless. Virgo on the South Node, we are so obsessed with needing to know facts, needing to know how, needing to be right, needing to get something perfect. Get into the details and always judge it and look for something that's wrong with it and not be super loving towards something. We're just critiquing it and wanting to make it better, you know? It also makes me think of Virgo is about our health and how we take care of ourselves. And, you know, a lot of people have gone to the extreme. I feel like health and fitness is bigger than ever right now. And there's gonna be some reworking of that too. We're shedding being slaves at work because Virgo is definitely more of like a slave worker sign. It's traditionally the slave sign, Virgo. And there are no better slaves these days or more comparable slaves than people working a 9-to-5 job, people working their butt off just to pay for their bills and not even live an extravagant life. A lot of people are just working to get by right now and they're exhausting themselves and they're overworking. They're doing way too much. That we're shedding. That's gotta go. That's Virgo on the South Node. So a lot of people could be releasing careers, jobs, how they are of service these next 2 years. And what you're going to be moving into is more unconditional love, more peace, more surrender, more spirituality, bringing the unseen, the spiritual realm into our life. And using love as the foundation and learning to connect to love and follow love. Now, on the low vibe of Pisces, it can be fear and self-sabotaging behavior and projecting onto people and being confused and being deluded and mental health. But also Pisces can guide you towards your highest timeline. And that is why a big part of this next year is you really stepping into your wildest dreams, because it can guide you towards your wildest dreams. It can have you dream that big, but it also is going to show us a lot of your fears and self-sabotaging behavior. So Pisces self-sabotages us because it is like a mirror. It is a projection field because it blends so much with other people. It thinks its fears are real and it projects its fears onto situations, people, whatever. And that is how Pisces self-sabotages itself. Only when we project our fears. And so you could be becoming aware of where you are living in fear, where you are allowing other people's experience of you impact you. That's also a lower vibration of Pisces. And I'm not saying you're low vibe if you do this. I do this too. We all do this. We're humans. But it is the lower expression. It's not a bad thing when I say lower, higher. I just want you to understand it's like energy, lower energy, higher energy. And obviously, like the higher energy, the more creative life force power you have to create your life. So if other people are telling us we're a piece of poop, the high expression of Pisces energy is also recognizing that them telling us that they think we're a piece of poop is only a reflection of them, and we got to give it back to them. What we think is only a reflection of us. What we see outside of us is only a reflection of us. What they are pushing onto us is only a reflection of them. It can be confusing. You might feel a little confused with the North Node in Pisces because we're really getting an idea of, okay, I'm figuring out who I am. And that's why connection to self is so big over this next year. You're going to be really being guided to be connected to yourself, you know? We're going to have 3 Mercury retrogrades. The 3 Mercury retrogrades are all going to be in fire signs. The first one is going to be in Aries. Then we're going to have one in Leo. And then we'll have one in Sagittarius again. We just had a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius December 2024, so it's going to come back. When Mercury retrograde is only going through fire signs, we are reworking, rethinking what gives us that spark. You know, like what gives you that spark to start a project and start a new path? What gives you that spark to sabotage yourself? What gives you that spark to go into a downward overthinking spiral? What gives you that spark to get you out of that spiral? What sparks you? And how are you kindling that fire? Are you just in constantly burning out? That could happen over this next year, trying to spark a fire and burning out and having to rework it. We're figuring out how to kindle our fire using our mind. It is a year of massive mindset breakthroughs, especially the second half of the year. We'll get into that. Okay, so the next thing, we're in January. We're kicking it off with Pisces in the North Node. Then we're also still in a Mars retrograde in the beginning of the year. So all through January, Mars will be retrograding pretty much through Cancer. I did a whole video on Mars retrograde through Leo and Cancer. I'll put that video down below if you want to go even deeper into the Mars retrograde. But basically, as we're shedding hour of service, as we're shedding overworking ourselves and being overly analytical and overly in the details and overly practical and judgmental and perfectionistic and all those different things, as we're shedding that, Mars retrograde is helping you connect to your heart and what's true for you. If you have ignored your feelings because you think your feelings lead you astray, maybe you think your feelings always lead you into that toxic relationship, but then you keep following the same feeling and you keep getting into the same toxic relationship and you keep wondering why you keep getting into the same toxic relationship. Well, an example with Mars retrograde could be like, oh, I'm feeling that excited, buzzy feeling again with this person. Well, that feeling has led me to that relationship a lot. And then you could reflect on, what does that feeling translate to for me? What do I associate that feeling with? Do I associate that feeling with love? And then it's like, okay, well, what would it really feel like to have love? What if love felt calm and peaceful? What if I practiced feeling like I felt calm and peaceful around someone and that was love? Do you see what I'm saying? It's using that Pisces imaginative spiritual energy to bring a new reality to you so you can start taking action from a new way and you start getting more connected to yourself and how you're feeling when you take action. You know, during Mars retrograde, it's been making us feel like we're stuck in the mud. It's been hard to take more action, and it might really feel like it's still hard to take action the first 2 months of the year, or you might feel really frustrated from the action you do take because that action is trying to teach you a lesson about yourself so you can connect to yourself, so you can realize how you make yourself feel emotionally, and then how you react to your external reality emotionally is what's creating your reality every second of the day. If you walk into a party and you are so pissed off, that pissed off energy is going to radiate to the room and impact how you act at that party and what manifests at that party. If you go to that same party and you pumped yourself up and you're like, I'm the best, like life's great, we're gonna have a great time, that's gonna give you a different trajectory of the party. You're learning to connect to yourself emotionally and how to Move into something that's going to expand your life and create your reality. You're learning to connect to your God power and learn lessons from your feelings. You know, we've been taught to not listen to our feelings. You can't trust them because they keep leading you to that same relationship, for example. But it's not that you can't trust them. It's that you're being asked to look at them and what they really mean for you. Like, connect to yourself. I hope this makes sense. So the first couple months of the year are really us just learning to connect to ourselves and understand what our emotions mean and how our emotions create our reality and how we can be empowered in how we're feeling and how much love we create in our external reality based on how much we connect to ourselves and how much love we create on our internal reality. Like attracts like. I feel like I say this almost every video I put out because it's true. And if you want to be a cosmic co-creator, a cosmic co-creatrix, that's my membership, by the way. If you're not in my Manifesting with Astrology membership, I'll put that in the show notes below. But you want to be a co-creator with the universe, and you co-create by directing how you feel, by using your mind to only focus on what you want to create, by blocking out the past and what you've created in the past. Here's another thing you could be learning around Mars retrograde. Cancer is really stuck in the past, not always in a good way. It can make you feel stuck and tied to the past. But Mars severs things, Mars cuts things. And you're given an opportunity in the beginning of the year to cut the past, to realize the reality you're living right now is just a manifestation of the past, of your past thinking, what you've learned from your family, from your ancestry, from your upbringing, and you can change it today. You can change it these 2 months right now by changing how you think about yourself, by changing how you make meaning out of what happens in your life. And then in March, Venus will station retrograde in Aries. And now we're going to be reviewing how we go about receiving. And Aries is about your identity. It's about yourself. We're going to be reflecting on your self-worth and how your self-worth has either opened you up to receiving or closed you off to receiving. And here's where the South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces will come in. I imagine a lot of people, as you're shedding the perfectionism, as you're shedding needing to know how and needing to know the right answer, your world, the possibilities will open up. That's Pisces. Pisces is all possibilities. And so when we are critical of ourselves, Virgo, and we don't feel worthy, Venus, our world gets really small and we can't see possibilities and we can't receive anything else. We can only receive what we're focusing on. And Virgo can make your world really, really small, really, really detailed, really, really minuscule, if you let it. I'm not saying all Virgo, just one aspect of Virgo. But you're going to be reflecting on your identity and your self-worth and how you go about receiving in your relationships and whether your world is really small and how you can make it bigger, how you can dream up a bigger identity, feel more worthy in your sense of self. We could also be reflecting on what it means to be selflessly selfish. You know, as much as the North Node being in Pisces, it can be about self-sacrifice. The highest vibration of Pisces is being in love with yourself first and mirroring that love outside of you. You could be reflecting on, where do I block love outside of me? Where do I block love in my life because I block love with myself? And how can I anchor into more love with myself? And just start there. It's almost like we're going to be getting clear on who we are versus other people, especially because at the same time, Mercury retrograde will go through Aries and then a little bit through Pisces. And so I imagine when Mercury retrograde goes through Pisces, there's going to be a lot of lessons around where we project onto people, where we sabotage ourselves. It could be rethinking dreams that we have and whether they were really in alignment with us or if they were in alignment with a relationship and we thought that we wanted it. this is how we're creating our new life this next year, but we're also having to go back and reflect and reconnect with ourselves. This is one of those touch points of reconnecting with yourself. And then also in March, we're going to have the total lunar eclipse in Virgo, and we'll have a partial eclipse in Aries to close out the Aries Libra cycle. So we'll talk more about those eclipses when we get to them, but eclipses are life-changing events. And I want you to think about this. There's going to be a partial eclipse in Aries. It's closing out that self versus other theme we've been learning the last 2 years. It's like you're really getting in tune with your new identity, who you want to be, how you want to receive, what you find pleasurable. It's connecting with your self-leadership. How are you going to lead yourself into this new world? Another thing in March is that Neptune is going to move into Aries until October 2025. And then in May, Saturn is going to move into Aries. So when Neptune moves into Aries in March, Neptune in Aries is dissolving your sense of self, dissolving your identity. So I'm not doing a personal horoscope right here, but if you were in my membership or if you were my one-on-one client, I would have you understand what area of life Aries rules for you. So like for me, Aries rules my one-to-one relationships. How I see myself in relation to my relationships is going to dissolve. But also it means I might feel like I'm losing boundaries between myself and my relationships. So Aries rules a certain area of your life based on your rising sign. That's going to tell you where this version of you is dissolving, and it's going to be just continuing the themes from the last 2 years. And another thing about Neptune is it's like, how big can you dream? And so the dreaming is starting in March. How big can you dream? But then when we get to May, it's like reality check. Okay, you dreamed big, but now Saturn's coming into the mix. You know, Saturn moved from Pisces into Aries. And so now Saturn's hanging out with Neptune, and it's putting some boundaries around Neptune's limitless possibilities, big dreams. Saturn wants you to get real in May. And it's going to be traveling with Neptune most of the year until they both switch out of Aries again and go back into Pisces and Taurus. May, you're starting to dream big and build and like see how big you can go, and maybe even take some actions, maybe even take some leaps. Maybe you're moving to another country, you're deciding to write this book, you're starting the YouTube, you're like doing that big leap. And then you're hit with the harsh realities of the work you got to put in, that it's not always sunshine and rainbows and daisies as Neptune and Pisces would like you to believe. Oh, I didn't mention this. Neptune rules the North Node when the North Node's in Pisces. So whatever Neptune is doing is part of a collective destiny point. That's what the North Node is. It's karmic. We've always been meant to go here. It's a part of the destiny of humanity. So when Neptune's in Aries, it's because we're reshaping humanity by dreaming big into our new versions of us, starting new things, dreaming for new things. And so that's going to require putting in work, and Aries can really get ahead of itself. And here's the other thing, especially Saturn in Aries can want to do everything on its own. And Saturn in Aries will be making a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. And so Pluto in Aquarius can actually help Saturn in Aries. You know, Pluto brings up our deep fears around not belonging or feeling misunderstood. Saturn in Aries wants to go after its dream all on its own, and it doesn't want to need other people. And it feels like being a self-starter and doing on its own is the responsible thing to do. And so how that energy could play out is you could try to go after this big dream on your own and say, I don't need anyone. I can do all this on my own, blah, blah, blah. And that could block you. But then you could find Pluto and Aquarius could bring you your group. You could find your group that's going to help you bring your dream into a reality because they have a dream that fits with your dream. And all of your dreams can work together. That's one way Saturn and Aries can be working with Pluto and Aquarius this coming year. So I just want you to keep that in mind. If you're feeling like you need to do it all on your own and it feels really heavy, there is an opportunity to find your tribe, to find the people who are going to build this with you. You could also be feeling really critical of yourself and whether people are going to get it and whether this thing you're building is too groundbreaking. And also Pluto and Aquarius can really help you find power in that. We don't move forward into this new world without the dreamers, without the people who think outside of the box, without the people who are willing to break the rules and do something a completely different way than how we've always known to do it. Remember Virgo South Node? That's also breaking the rules, breaking what we think we know, and moving into the unknown, moving into new territory. So that's coming up. I feel like May feels like you're putting like the groundwork into your identity. March is like you're getting kind of ungrounded, a little loosey-goosey. Who am I? I'm figuring out who I am. Okay, I'm excited. I'm dreaming big. Saturn's a little bit of a reality check in May. And then in June, Jupiter goes into Cancer, and it's gonna almost immediately square Neptune and Saturn and Aries. So I love Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It loves to be in Cancer. So this is a good thing. If you have your natal Jupiter in Cancer or you're a Cancer rising, this could be a great lucky year for you. You could be in your Jupiter return. Or I also really find that when Jupiter is in the same sign as your ascendant, your rising sign, that can be a lucky year, but it depends on certain aspects made to your chart. So it's not like a tried and true all the time thing. But when Jupiter moves into Cancer, Jupiter is the planet of our belief systems, of growth, luck, and expansion, and where we're gaining luck, where we're really expanding in that energy. And Cancer is in our sense of connection to self. It's in our sense of home, in our sense of safety. It's our ancestry. It's changing the past. Cancer is also healing. One way we can go about healing the past is by viewing the past differently. You could grow and expand this next year by reshaping your past, rewriting your past, and allowing it to heal you so you can look at a situation differently. Therapy could bring a lot of luck to you this year. Doing self-concept coaching could bring a lot of luck to you this year. I do that. If you want to reach out to me, I do one-on-one self-concept coaching with astrology. It can bring you a lot of luck this year. But really, you know how I told you it's about connection to self and how connecting to your emotions and how things feel is what will help you create your reality. It will either tell you where you need to pivot things, where you're not in love, like where something needs to shift, where you need to feel something different. It gives you a lot of information, like I said in the beginning of this whole video, into creating your reality. So with Jupiter in Cancer, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to connect to yourself and to connect to what feels like home for you. And the more you trust and lean into what feels like home, that's going to be part of you creating your reality. But here's the thing. In June, when it immediately squares Neptune and Saturn and Aries, it's going to feel kind of hard. And it's going to be another check, like reality check moment for you, where you could be stepping into this new version of yourself. You could have made a big, bold move to be this new version of you. And the square to Jupiter in Cancer could feel so uncomfortable because Cancer is our emotions, what makes us feel safe. And Jupiter just expands what it touches. So your emotions can feel really big. You could just feel more connected to them, more connected to that nurturing energy, but also what makes you not feel safe. So as you're becoming this new version of yourself and like Cancer's tied to the past, it can feel so uncomfortable. And that could be this square. It could just be that like trying to figure out how you're going to step into a new, strong emotional foundation as you're this new version of yourself. Whenever we go into a new path, our emotions get kind of like, ooh, like it feels like that free falling, like what's gonna happen? And so that's like this energy. Like I feel like we're making bold moves in May to become a new version, and then we're hit with the reality of like, oh my God, this is really scary and really uncomfortable, and I might be pooping my pants right now. You know? Like it could show up in that way. It could show up that you moved and now you're having to readjust to the move that you had. It really depends what area of life Cancer rules for you. If you want to get a birth chart reading with me to see how this year ahead is really going to impact you, you can check out my birth chart reading link down in the description box below. So It's trying to increase our sense of home within ourselves. So while it might feel challenging in June to acclimate to this new version of ourselves, it will ultimately bring you more of that emotional stability. And it's really wanting you to feel more at home with yourself. And it really wants you to learn how to nurture yourself and what you need. You know, we haven't really taught to nurture ourselves, especially since Pluto was in Capricorn since 2008. During that time, it's almost like we really got traumatized to not trust our emotions and to not trust how we feel and to not trust that that's giving us information and to just go for the goal at all costs. And we're healing that this year. We're learning, oh, that was a shadow of Pluto and Capricorn. And we actually do need to listen to these things. These have very wise information that's going to make us feel really emotionally fulfilled and good in life. And then also in July, we have another Mercury retrograde in Leo. So Mercury retrograde in Leo, now we're reflecting on what brings us passion, what brings us joy, what's fun for us. We're reflecting on whether validation impacts our path to success. Remember, the North Node's in Pisces. We're becoming aware of our self-sabotaging behavior. If you're not getting validated every step of the way while you're creating this new life and creating this new vision you have for yourself, and then you're feeling like it's not good because no one's validating you, you might be reflecting on that with Mercury and Leo, because Leo loves validation. And the highest expression of Leo is self-validation and seeing itself and just being the sun. And also another thing with Leo is it can want to do things and create things just so that people are generous back with it, or it wants to be generous with people and expects people to be generous back. That's not the highest expression of Leo. The highest expression of Leo is being in joy and giving because you love giving, and that is enough. Like, you don't need anything in return. This is just your pure joy. It's your pure light. Leo is ruled by the sun. Think about the sun. The sun does not shine its beautiful rays on you and then ask for something back. It doesn't say, I'm not going to keep shining and creating life here because you're not giving anything back. It would never say that. You have a sun within you. We all have the sun within us. We all have Leo within us. Everyone has every zodiac sign within their birth chart, whether you have planets in them or not. It's in your chart. You have a sun inside of you. That sun, if it was not bogged down by all of that like trauma and heaviness and all of these different things, it would just shine and it would attract abundance. It would be abundance because you are inherently abundant. And we're learning to connect to our true creative nature through connecting to ourselves. So we could be reflecting on that with Mercury retrograde in Leo. And then in July also, Uranus will be moving into Gemini until November. Okay. Uranus in Gemini is genius. Genius energy. It is massive breakthroughs in our mindset, massive breakthroughs in how we think, in how we communicate. It's going to think of things that I can't even think of right now because it's so far advanced and in the future, it could feel like alien to you. Gemini is our mindset, how we think, how we communicate. Uranus is radical change and thinking outside of the box. It's revolutionary and breaking rules. And Mercury is our mind. I feel like we're just going to start breaking rules in July as we start creating and reflecting on what's truly passionate for us. And that passion, like you connecting to what's truly fun and abundant and passionate for you, could be that mindset breakthrough you have that gives you that idea that changes humanity. Because at the same time, Uranus in Gemini is also going to be trining Pluto in Aquarius. It's going to be hanging out with Pluto in Aquarius while it's there. That Aquarius rules Uranus. Oh my God. I'm talking like revolutions in cars, because Gemini rules cars and transportation. Revolutionary transportation. Like, are we going to be able to get to Australia from America in 2 hours? I don't know. I just made that up. Like, is that going to happen? Maybe. I'm talking for you. Like, connecting to creativity and things that are fun for you in a way you never would have thought of before. I'm talking radical shifts in your relationship with your sibling. Maybe you've never been in a loving relationship with your sibling. I'm saying this because Gemini rules siblings. And all of a sudden, you guys come together and you have this cause that you both believe in, and it brings you together. And it's this breakthrough in this relationship with your sibling. We're going to be thinking differently. We're going to be thinking less about how can I get above other people? How can I do it all on my own? And we're going to be thinking more lateral. How can I bring people in to help me on my mission? How can we all do this together? How can we all work together? How can I transcend my ego? This is another thing that could be happening because Leo is ego around July. And Mercury retrograde in Leo, we could be reflecting on our ego. We could be reflecting on how our ego holds us back and how actually the true way to get to abundance is by dropping the ego, not needing to make as much money, but bringing these other people in. And then, holy shit, now I made even more money than I thought I was going to make on my own, because it sounded really fun and like a cool idea to bring your thing into my thing and your thing into my thing. And now we're even more abundant. And now I don't feel competitive with you because I need you. Like, you're a part of this. We're going from I'm above you thinking to whoa, when we all come together, we're so abundant and we can change the world and change humanity. You know, just shit like that. So then in August and in September, Neptune and Aries will sextile Uranus and Gemini. This could be a massive breakthrough in your identity. Remember, I told you Neptune is having you dream of how big you can dream. It's helping you see yourself in a bigger light. It's helping you not feel so confided to who you've always been. And remember, like I said in the beginning of this YouTube, how successful people just expand their sense of self, expand their sense of reality. They expect a bigger reality, and so they get a bigger reality. With this sextile to Uranus and Gemini, Uranus is giving us breakthroughs in our thinking. Anyways, so then with Pluto and Aquarius sextiling Neptune and Aries is now helping us dream big. It's like, okay, these old way of doing things aren't working anymore. This could be going to school. Maybe parents don't want to bring their kids to school anymore, and we don't have the traditional schooling system, and now parents are opting for more group schooling and community schooling. That's a possibility in August, especially because August is the time we go back to school. And Pluto is death and rebirth to a new way of doing things. It's breaking the rules with it being in Aquarius. And Gemini could like grade school, people growing up. So yeah, I feel like we could have a new way of doing school around this time, new contracts coming out, like new ways of sharing information, potentially new ways of paying for things. Maybe we start to pay for things with crypto. Maybe there's now crypto cards and you could swipe your thing and you can just take the money right out of your crypto and you don't have to have it in US dollars anymore or whatever your currency is. This is like an overhaul energy of old structures on a big scale, but also on your scale in your own life. The teardown of the old and the breakthrough of the new and breaking rules as you do it. Experimenting, trying new things, trying new structures, seeing what works as you step into this new version of yourself. And then we have in September, the total lunar eclipse in Pisces and partial solar eclipse in Virgo. So this is going to be our first eclipse in Pisces in September because we're not getting one during Pisces season. We're getting one in Aries during Pisces season. So this is going to be a giant release. I feel like a lot of people are going to be getting in touch with what's been self-sabotaging them, with things that they couldn't see before that they now can see. I always think of Pisces energy as, you know, when you're manifesting something and everyone says there's a lot going on around you while you're manifesting that you can't see and you don't have all the facts right here. That could be a big theme of these eclipses, is things you couldn't see before revealing themselves to you. Truths you couldn't see before about yourself, about life, about how you interact in the world that you couldn't see before that come crashing down to show you. This could be, I mean, the Pisces is the unknown. We're going to talk more about these eclipses when we get there. This is already a long video, but I just want you to know that. And then in October, Neptune will move back into Pisces. Uranus will move back into Taurus. We're going to go back into that unknown. We're reshaping our values again and breaking free with values and how we make money and our self-worth and all those different things. And then we have the final Mercury Retrograde in Sagittarius in November. So we're going to be rethinking our belief systems and how our belief systems either create opportunities or hinder opportunities. We're going to be reworking how we might be a little scattered. Remember I said there's chaos this year? Whenever we enter into new stuff, there's kind of chaos. And so this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is going to be about weeding out a lot of the chaos and getting connected to your truth again. It's that grounding back down theme I told you about. So this is the astrology for 2025. I also pulled some tarot cards. Of course, I got Aquarius because Aquarius rules Uranus, and Aquarius is breakthroughs, revolution, communities coming together, new ways of doing things, being more laterally focused, working together as opposed to being hierarchically focused. And then we have a fixed card. Fixed is consistent. We're building towards new stability, a new way of life. If a lot of contracts have to go, what's our new contracts? What's the new structures we're putting in place? What new contract will I be entering into because now there's a new structure? Am I now going to be paying with crypto? Like, I don't know. We'll find out. But then I pulled the recognition and reward card and the shadow card. So the shadow card, the recognition card, remember how I told you Pisces is our self-sabotaging behavior as much as it is our limitless potential and unconditional love and all the beautiful things? But it shows us our shadows, and part of connecting to ourselves is getting connected to our shadows. You know, when something doesn't feel good, is it that it's just not meant for you and you should just give up and not do it? Or is that a feeling trying to tell you something about how you're doing it? With Virgo on the South Node, Virgo is the how. And we think we need to do things a specific way to get a specific result. You know, Virgo thinks more is more sometimes, like more details so we can fine tune them and get down to the bare bones. But needing to know how and seeking for things outside of you and seeking knowledge and information outside of you could be a shadow in itself. If instead you ask your feelings like, oh, this just means the how I'm doing it is not how I want to do it. What would feel good to you if you were to connect to yourself? What would feel like love? You know, I have my Cosmic Co-Creatrix membership, and what felt like love for a long time was doing daily energy reports and updating the Kajabi library with each zodiac season. And then it started feeling horrible. And I started questioning, should I not do this at all anymore? And then I realized, oh, it's not that. I still love sharing astrology. I still love having a community. It's that I no longer want to give in this way. I want to do a live call. So I did a live Q&A call and we had so much fun. So often it's not that your feelings mean try harder or that there's something wrong with you. They're always teaching you lessons about yourself and about love and how to come into more love. And so that's going to require shadow work because we will likely sabotage ourselves to figure this out. It's not bad to sabotage yourself. It's not bad to make a mistake. We're going to be making mistakes this next year. We're moving into new territory. What matters is what you learn from it, bringing the dark to light. Instead of trying to continue to stuff it down to figure out how, it's like, what are you teaching me? What do I need to know? What do I need? And then we have recognition and reward. Do you see how this guy is literally staring down into himself? He's only looking at himself. He's only looking inside. He is co-creating from inside. That recognition and reward will come from you turning inward. It's not seeking for the how outside of you, not seeking for that validation. Remember, that's what we'll be reworking in Mercury Retrograde in Leo. It is co-creating from within and blocking out everything outside of you, and you really connecting to your God power and what is passionate for you. And imagine, what kind of life could you create if you were so connected to what turned you on? That's where we're heading. What turns you on? What story do you want to create from your turn on? And you can't be truly ecstatic and turned on for the long term from something outside of you. That's why porn, I guess we're going here. That's why porn can be toxic for a lot of people, and not helpful, because it is this fantasy, this thing that is outside of you, and it disconnects you from you. Whereas when you do a lot of sexual healing, which I feel like a big theme of this year could be sexual healing, because it is creative, it is life force. When you do sexual healing, you recognize that sexual healing comes from connecting more to your body and tuning into your pleasure and alivening the parts of you that feel numb by giving them attention, not consistently ignoring them. Porn will have you ignore what feels numb so that you can just feel something through fantasy. But when you truly connect to yourself, you have to work through the shadow of the numbness until you feel the pleasure. I'm not a sexual tantra healer, but I've taken a lot of courses, and you can find one, I'm sure, this next year. It could be a great year for doing sexual healing and, meeting with a tantra teacher, because tantra is a practice that connects you to yourself. It connects you to truth. It's been a giant practice in my life. So that is my interpretation for 2025. I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you growing in community with me. Thank you for all of 2024. I'm really excited for this next year. I really look at us as like co-creating together. And so you watching this video is part of my co-creation. And so for that, I have a lot of gratitude for you, and I'm grateful you're here. So if you would like to continue to get more of my videos, you can subscribe, hit the like bell, because that will help this video get out to more people. And leave a comment. I would love to know, what are you most excited for 2025? Let's anchor it in. Let's make it happen. All right. Have the best 2025 of your freaking life. I'll be making more videos along the way. I love you. Happy New Year.